one last question. I was talking with, I have this thing where I love any type of new business model, people being innovative at connecting something random with something else. And when they do it, it's like, well, that that makes sense. Like why didn't anyone do that before? And I just learned about a company called Soulphia,
Okay.
Soulphia. And it's interesting because what they do, part of the business model is basically taking, it's about conversational English
Hmm.
and teaching that to people in Brazil. And they
Okay.
do this by having people who are homeless women in New York City who speak English, native language, who need resources and money. They've been able to use technology to connect that skill set with people in Brazil who either one have to come here on business, two want to come here and there's some kind of cultural enrichment they need before they come and they need to be able to speak English with English speaking people with accents and the whole bit, like the rich, deep cultural conversation. And then also in travel. And these kinds of business models are always intriguing to me. I'm asking about them because I wanted to know if there's um, partnerships. Do you look for interesting partners that help support your ERGs or help support work efforts? I don't know, does Univar have a presence in Portuguese speaking countries or,
We do. We do
okay.
actually. We have a fairly large footprint in Brazil.
Oh,
Um, yeah. The thing, in every one of our team members in groups across the world, has a variety of different local partnerships. We really want to be one with our community, in the work that we're doing. So, but what I can speak to, a little bit about right now, and there's two kind of things that came to mind that are fairly similar to what you described and how we're, reshaping the way that we use our business model and engage communities in different ways. The first one is that we really have a heavy presence with this organization called the Chemical Education Foundation.
oh,
And the Chemical Education Foundation is a nonprofit organization that aims to stimulate interest in in STEM subjects for younger people in, I think, elementary education and whatnot. We're a big sponsor. In fact, a few months ago, I actually volunteered at one of the events, and I was overwhelmed at how intelligent these children are at their age. And, the intent there is to really inspire more and more young people to enter into STEM careers
hmm
long term, because we have a shortage of that, right? And we want to make sure that as a company looking proactively in the next couple of decades, that there's a good talent pipeline that's going to come work for us, right? And to keep us going and being sustainable with a competitive advantage. But I'll say, in terms of adapting to, different human needs, I think one thing that comes to mind is our adaptiveness, if that's a word, with COVID. And then what I'll say is this: I had just mentioned earlier, we sell into a variety of different industries,
right.
and we sell the ingredients and the chemicals that are used to make sanitizing agents. And so we obviously got a lot of phone calls when COVID hit, because there was a hard run on lots of those ingredients that are used, and there still is today, that are used to make hand sanitizing agents. And so we were able to quickly retool our supply chain and some of our strategies to help get those products to the companies that really needed it, that they were creating healthcare products. And we had a few unconventional partnerships that we stood up, and we
Nice.
were able to retool supply chains to get them the products that they needed in a very unconventional manner. And we were pretty proud to see, even Univar ourselves, we were able to blend some sanitizing agents for our employees, that we didn't traditionally do. So, I'd say we're pretty resilient and adaptive from that perspective. But, the business model for us right now is, we're adapting, right? And a company is really only as good as how quickly it can adapt to different things. But I love your analogy in terms of the goodwill that's created with, pairing a business need with supporting someone who has a need for a living and earning a living. And that's really inspiring.
Yeah, good. Because those are more of those stories as we bring them to our audience, we'll be sharing them more and more because I think we have to think about how to do business in the future. And sometimes it is a strange arrangement where
Yeah.
the transaction, it's more generative and it's more parties involved, but everybody leaves with what they need, right? And I think those kinds of business models are more and more of our are going to be more and more of our future.
And I think we should continue talking about those, because the more we talk about them, the more we stimulate new ideas for
Exactly.
other people that can then, take those back into their respective workplaces and pitch those ideas, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great.